In this video, let's go ahead and practice rewriting linear equations in a couple of different forms here. So the first form we're going to be talking about is going to be standard form. Standard form, if you just want a little quick refresher, is going to be in this form of ax plus by is equal to c. All right, so that's standard form. And the other form we have here is slope-intercept form. This one is generally a little bit more popular maybe in terms of what people recognize. But this one is that form of y is equal to mx plus b, right? But this video, the purpose of it is really just to kind of help you practice and see that they are related to each other. They're just different ways of writing the same thing. And so in different situations, one might be more useful than the other for representing a linear relationship. Now, while this video is focused on the algebra aspect of converting between these two forms, I encourage you to graph these equations on Desmos or a graphing calculator to also make sure that you see that the graphs do match. All right, so for number one, we have this equation of 3x minus 2y is equal to 9. So I encourage you to just start by writing down the equation and just thinking about what all the pieces that you have are. I notice that this is going to be in standard form right now. If we want to turn this into slope-intercept form, let's go ahead and take away 3x from both sides first. We go ahead and take away 3x and take away 3x from both sides. You're going to see that we're going to have negative 2y is equal to, and I'm going to keep the x term first and then put the constant term second, so negative 3x plus 9. After that, we want this to say y equals, right? So we need the coefficient of y to be 1. So let's go ahead and divide both sides by negative 2. If we divide both sides by negative 2, we should just get 1y on the left side, or y. Then if you divide this negative 3x over negative 2, that's going to be positive 3 over 2x. And then if we go ahead and divide 9 by this negative 2, that is going to be negative 4.5. So I'm just going to write minus 4.5. And so while we have this equation written in standard form to begin with, we just rewrote it in slope-intercept form so we can see the y-intercept and the slope very clearly. All right, check out number two. In number two, we have the standard form equation of 2x plus 6y is equal to 15. I'm going to start by just writing the equation down. So 2x plus 6y is equal to 15. Let's go ahead and start by moving the 2x term to the other side of the equation. We can do that by subtracting 2x on both sides. Once we do that, we're going to be left with 6y on the left side. And then on the right side, let's go ahead and write negative 2x plus 15. Okay. Now let's go ahead and get the coefficient of y to be 1, so we can say y equals. So let's go ahead and divide both sides by 6. If we do that, we're going to get y, or 1y, is equal to, now negative 2 over positive 6 simplifies down to being negative 1/3. So the coefficient for x, or the slope, is going to be negative 1/3. And then we have this 15 over 6. 15 divided by 6 simplifies down to being 5 over 2. 5 over 2 is going to be 2.5. So this would be our y-intercept. This right here would be our linear equation written in slope-intercept form. All right, here is a third example. In this case, we have another standard form equation. Here we have 4x minus y is equal to negative 12. Let's start by just rewriting the equation. So 4x, this is minus 1y. I'm just going to write minus y. That's equal to negative 12. Just like the last couple examples, let's go ahead and move the x term over to the right side first by subtracting 4x. If we do that, be careful, we need to keep that minus or that negative in front of the y. So it's negative y, because there's a negative 1 in front of there, right? As the coefficient, that's going to be equal to negative 4x minus 12. And then if we want to go ahead and get that coefficient for y to be positive 1, you can either multiply or divide both sides by negative 1. I'm just going to write divided by negative 1. If we do that, we're going to get 1y, or just y is equal to. Then make sure we divide both of these terms by negative 1. But negative 4 divided by negative 1 is going to be positive 4. So we have a slope of 4. And then we have this negative 12 divided by a negative 1. That's going to be a positive 12. So our linear equation is going to be y is equal to 4x plus 12 in slope-intercept form. All right, cool. So that's number 3. Let's go ahead and try a few more going from standard form over to slope-intercept form. And then we'll try a few where we go backwards, where we go from slope-intercept form to standard form. Okay, so in number 4, we have this equation 5x minus 2y is equal to 8. Let's see if you can do this together here, or you can do it on your own if you want to pause. Let's go ahead and take away 5x from both sides first. If we do that, we're going to be left with this negative 2y is equal to negative 5x plus 8. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and just divide both sides by -2. Let's go ahead and get the equation to say y is equal to. So y is equal to. And on the right side, what do we have? Well, we have a negative over a negative. That's going to be positive. So our slope here is going to be 5 to 2. That's going to be our ratio for vertical change to horizontal change. And then for our y-intercept, we have a positive 8 divided by a -2. That's going to be a -4. So we could write plus -4, or we can just write -4 here. All right, this would be our linear equation written in slope-intercept form. All right, for number 5, let's see. We have this equation of x minus 4y is equal to 18. Let's go ahead and write this down. We have a is 1, b is -4, and c is 18 here. So let's see. Let's go ahead and move the ax term to the other side. Let's go ahead and take away x from both sides. Once we do that, we're going to be left with -4y is equal to -x, or -1x, plus 18. Then let's go ahead and divide both sides by -4. If we divide both sides by -4 here, we're going to get positive 1y. So there's a y over here, right? Is equal to, and we have this -1 divided by a -4. Negative over negative is a positive, so we have a slope of positive 1/4. That's going to be x. Then for this positive 18 over -4, that's the same thing as 9 over -2, and 9 divided by 2 is 4.5. So our y-intercept here is going to be -4.5. This right here is our linear equation in slope-intercept form. All right, here is one final example in this particular video with these types. So let's see, we have this 6x minus 4y is equal to 10. All right, let's start by moving the x term to the other side, minus 6x minus 6x. Once we do that, we're going to be left with -4y on the left side is equal to -6x plus 10. And then let's go ahead and divide both sides by -4. If we go ahead and do that, then on the left side, we're just going to have y equals. And let's see, we have this -6 over -4. That's going to be the same thing as positive 3 over 2. So that's our slope here. And then we have, let's see, we have a positive 10 over a -4. That's just going to be the same thing as 5 over -2, or -2.5, I believe. This would be our equation in slope-intercept form. All right, so now that we've done 6 different problems going from standard form to slope-intercept form, let's go the other way and let's start with slope-intercept form and go to standard form. So in each of these practice problems, we're going to start with slope-intercept form and we'll go to standard form. So I'm just going to go ahead and highlight so these colors are going to match here. And let's go ahead and see if we can do some algebra going in the opposite direction here and still use Desmos if you would like to see if the graphs match. So if they match, you know you did a good job as well. All right, so I'm just going to write this equation down first. I'm going to say y is equal to -3x plus 5. Now keep in mind, when you're dealing with standard form, we would like a, b, and c to be integers, whole numbers, but specifically a should be a positive value. B and c, it's okay if they're negative, but we'd like a to be positive. All right, so we need a and b to be on the left side and c to be on the right side. I'm going to go ahead and just add 3x to the right side so I can get the x's and y's both to the left side of the equation. If we do that, we're going to have 3x plus 1y, and that's equal to 5. So in this particular case, this is all we had to do because we already have our a, b, and c. A is 3, b is positive 1, and c is 5. And they're all integers, and specifically a is also a positive integer or a natural number, so that's perfectly fine. This is the same linear equation in standard form. All right, see, in number 8, we have this equation where we have y is equal to this 2x minus 4. So let's just start by rewriting here. So I'm going to say we have y is equal to 2x minus 4. Let's see, we would like the x's and y's, the ax and the by to be on the same side. Let's start by taking away 2x on both sides here. All right, so while a good thing happened, we do have something that we want to be careful of. So we have -2x plus a y, and that's equal to -4. And so while this is kind of written in standard form, which is pretty good, notice how our a value here is negative, right? And we would like our a value to be positive when we're dealing with standard form. So what you could do to both sides of this equation is you could take the left side and you could multiply it by -1. You could also take the right side and multiply it by -1. So if you distribute this -1 to both of these terms on the left side here, we're going to end up with positive 2x, and then it's going to be plus a -1y or just minus 1y, and that's going to be equal to positive 4 on the right side. Now, again, it's okay if b and c are negative, right? So b is a -1 here, and c is positive 4, that's fine. We just wanted our a value to be a positive. So this right here would be our equation in standard form. Just make sure a is a positive value. All right, let's see. For number 9, let's go ahead and take a look at this equation. It's in slope-intercept form. So we have this y is equal to 1/2 x minus 5. So just like in the last few examples, let's start by moving the x term to the other side of the equation. Let's go ahead and take away half x on both sides. And if we do that, we're going to be left with -1/2 x plus y, and that's going to be equal to -5. Now, well, again, like the last example, we kind of have our a, b, and c kind of in order here. We have ax plus by is equal to c, but keep in mind that we would like a, b, and c to be integers, and you can see that this -1/2 is not an integer, right? That is a rational number. So we would like every a value to be a positive number and not a fraction, so just a natural number. Let's see how we can fix this. Let's go ahead and multiply both sides of the equation by a particular value. We could multiply both sides by 2, but then we're still going to have a negative a value. So I'm going to multiply both sides by -2, which is the reciprocal of -1/2. So we're using the multiplicative inverse right over here. So I'm going to multiply both sides by -2. So -2 multiplied by -1/2, again, those are reciprocals. You're going to get +1, so we're going to have 1x or just x. And then -2 multiplied by the coefficient of 1 in front of the y, that's going to be -2y, so we're going to write -2y. And then finally on the right side, -5 times -2 is just going to be +10. So we have the standard form equation now, but we also have it written in a nice form here where a is a positive integer. This would be that slope-intercept form equation written in standard form. All right, let's try another one. All right, at number 10, we have this y is equal to -3/4 x plus 1. Let's go ahead and start by just copying down the equation. So y equals -3/4. We have a negative slope here, and we have a positive y-intercept. To turn this into standard form, let's go ahead and move our x term to the other side. Let's go ahead and add 3/4 x to the right side. Let's go ahead and add 3/4 x to the left side. Now, if we do that, we're going to be left with 3/4 x plus 1y. I'm just going to write y here, but there's a 1 in front, and that's going to be equal to +1 on the right side. Okay, so again, we have our a, b, and c. We know what those values are, but we would like a to be a positive number and a positive integer. So let's go ahead and multiply both sides by something that will get us that. Now, don't worry if we have a coefficient other than 1. So I'm not going to use the multiplicative inverse in this particular problem. I'm just going to multiply both sides by 4. Okay, using the multiplication property of equality. If you do 4 times 3/4, you're going to see I'm using the denominator here so I can cross cancel. So those 4's will cross cancel and we'll be left with 3x. And then if you go ahead and multiply the 4 by this 1y, we're going to get 4y. So 3x plus 4y. And on the right side of the equation, 1 times 4 is just going to be 4. So this right here would be our linear equation written in standard form, where a is 3, b is +4, and c is also +4. All right, number 11, we have y is equal to 3/5 x minus 4. Let's get a little more room here. So let's say we have y. I'm just going to copy it down. We have our slope of 3 to 5, and we have a y-intercept at 0, -4. Let's go ahead and rearrange this a little bit. Let's move this 3/5 x to the left side of the equation. We can go ahead and subtract it. If we do that, though, it's going to be negative. And so we're going to get -3/5 x. A is -3/5 right now plus y. So b is going to be 1 right now. And we're left with -4, so c is -4. So we kind of have that standard form that we like. However, we're going to try to get our a value to be a positive number. So right now there's two issues. The fact that this is a fraction is an issue, and the fact that it's negative is an issue. The 3 doesn't bother me here, and it shouldn't bother you as well, hopefully. So what are we going to do? What's the least amount of work we could do to get our a value to be a positive whole number? I'm going to multiply both sides by -5. If you do a negative times a negative, that's going to be a positive, right? And then if we want the denominator to cancel out so that we get a whole number. So if you go to distribute here, -5 times -3/5, that's just going to be a positive 3x. So we're going to get 3x over here. And then there's -5 multiplied by +1y. that's going to be minus 5y. And on the right side here, we have a negative 4 times a negative 5. That's going to be a positive 20. So this would be our linear equation written in standard form, where a is 3, b is negative 5, and c is 20. All right, here's one final example for number 12. We have this linear equation where we have y is equal to this negative 5 over 2x plus 4 1/3. So let's practice our fractions a little bit more here. Let's go ahead and start by just writing down the equation. We have y, we have a negative slope here. And then we have this y-intercept. That's a rational number of positive 4 1/3. So let's start by moving our x term to the left side of the equation by adding 5 over 2x. We don't have any like terms here, so we can't combine. But what we're going to have here on the left side is going to be 5 over 2x plus y, and that's going to be equal to 4 1/3. All right, so this last one here, you want to be a little more careful because you can see that we have some different denominators here. So I'd like to kind of fix them both at the same time. So what I'm going to do here is let's take a look at this 4 1/3 for a moment on the side, 4 1/3. And I'm going to go ahead and just rewrite it as an improper fraction. So 4 1/3 is the same thing as 13/3. So I'm actually going to use that instead of 4 1/3 here. So let's go ahead and get rid of the 4 1/3 and just write 13/3. Okay, this way you can deal with both denominators at the same time, because we don't want a, b, or c. We don't want any of them to be a fraction. So this denominator is a 2, so you could multiply everything by 2, but then that you're still going to have a fraction over here for c, right? So we got to think of our least common denominator, or LCD. So when's the first time 2 and 3 meet? Well, they're going to meet at 6, right? So if we go ahead and choose wisely here, let's multiply both sides by 6. Then we should see some nice cross canceling and have no fractions left over. So if you multiply 6 by 5 over 2, I notice this 2 becomes a 1, the 6 becomes a 3, 3 times 5, that's going to be 15. So we're going to get 15x, and then 6 multiplied by this 1y here is just going to be 6y. So far a and b are both good to go. And on the right side, we'd like this denominator to cancel out as well. So 3 and 6, just like we planned, are going to cross cancel to make 1 and 2. And then 2 times 13 is going to be 26. So these numbers are a little higher because we had to find some denominators that would match here. But this is really great because now we have a standard form equation, and we did it in less steps than we would maybe otherwise if we used a different number besides 6. So 6 is kind of the best number to use here because it's the least common denominator when you looked at a, b, and c. This would be our equation in standard form. All right, so there you had 12 different practice problems. In the first 6 problems, we went from standard form to slope-intercept form, and then in the next 6 problems, we went from slope-intercept form to standard form. Hopefully you found the video helpful. If you did, please consider giving the video a thumbs up and sharing with a classmate or friend who might also find it helpful. And as always, keep up the great work that you're already doing.